that it turns out didn't target her information officer, flies to a luxury island resort for a birthday party of the Speaker of the House, officially leaves her local party, hops on over to Cavite to be ninang sa kasal, even walking in on the arm of a man who's clear about his intentions to run for president.
I am running for president, full stop.
That Cavite pit stop was also where the daughter promptly swore allegiance to the political party of the father of the bride, which completely caught her father's political party, or at least one faction of it, off guard, leading them to having their presidential candidate, who said at the start he didn't look like a mockery, withdraw his bid the very next day.
But this party decision na. I was ordered by the party to withdraw. No, to withdraw.
All right.
And then their VP candidate withdrawing his own COC, only to file a COC for president with another political party, accompanied by the master he served for so long, whose political lieutenant announced the president, the incumbent one for the next 6 months still, would file his own COC for VP on D-Day.
Babalik presidente sa Monday para mag-file.
Are you running for senator? Lalagyan mo lang yung aming camera.
Vice President.
Which then begged the question, which got this strange reply in the form of another question.
I don't know, na-file ba?
And this didn't help either.
I have thousands of supporters who cried last October 8th, and I cannot find it in my heart to make them cry again on November 15th. After the deadline, the offer to run for vice president became an opportunity to meet you halfway,
leading the entire country to come to a screeching halt, just like those wild roller coaster rides where you're suspended at the highest point right before you plunge to the bottom of your upside-down stomach. Because after all, Sunday was and is rest day, the day before Monday, D-Day, the day we were told everything would be clearer.
A lawyer, Melchor Aranas, or representing President Rodrigo Duterte, has also arrived, this time to submit the COC of President Rodrigo Duterte as her substitute candidate.
Wala naman pong problema sa samahan siguro na mag-ama, no? Ang sinabi lang ni Presidente, hindi nagkonsulta si Mayor Sara sa kanyang mga political plans. Sabihin na lang natin na gaya ng kahit anong relasyong pamilya, minsan may tagpuhan, pero wala pong kaduda-duda, nagmamahalan po mag-ama.
We've said this before and we'll say it again. Politics is a favorite Pinoy pastime. Next to basketball, boxing.
The new Miss Universe is...
and beauty pageants. But in beauty pageants, if the title holder can't do the job, the first runner-up gets it. In professional boxing, you're given 8 seconds to get back on your feet or you're out. And in basketball, the rules on substitution and overtime can't be bent or broken. Can you think of any other election that tops 2022? Good evening, I'm Piolo Tiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, Politics as Usual. Our guests for tonight, 2 political science professors from UP Diliman, Dr. Maria Ella Atienza, and from De La Salle University, Dr. Julio Tiangki. Good evening to you both, professors. So, how was your weekend? And when I say weekend, I'm referring to Saturday's happenings at the Comelec, Balesin, Cavite, etc. No? Naubusan na ba kayo ng words or adjectives to describe what you witnessed? Professor Tiangki, kayo na po muna.
Well, yeah, the entire drama last week until the weekend, until early this week was all sound and fury, signifying nothing, no? The much anticipated showdown for the presidency between Bongbong Marcos and Mayor Sara Duterte was a non-starter. And the promise, Duterte versus Duterte showdown for the vice presidency, the big drama na inaabangan ng lahat ng tao, ay na-cancel, no? So again, we have all been taken for a ride, no? So it goes to show, no, how the Dutertes have really mastered the politics of mayhem and misdirection. No?
Mayhem and misdirection, pero pinag-usapan sila ng mabuti, ano? Professor Atienza, kayo po.
Yeah, hello, good evening, Pia. Actually, yung last few days, since last week up to yesterday, particularly last Saturday, parang nanonood ng sitcom. I was expecting a teledrama, but it's more like a sitcom, parang yung abangan ang susunod na kabanata. I was not surprised that Bongbong's still stuck with what he said, that he's running for president, and then of course, Sarah decided to. The indications are pointing that she will file for vice president when Bongbong said that he will not give way. But what was surprising was after Bato withdrew last Saturday, Bongo filed but not as presidential candidate of
Ng PDP.
PDP laban, but PDBS. So, ngayon lang ngayon ko lang yata narinig yung PDBS.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there's always a first time.
Talaga yung PDP laban. Diba? Parang kung kawawa yung PDP laban, it's the administration party, pero mukha siya talagang pinag-iwanan, i-abandon talaga. And then, of course, we were waiting kasi ang pinakapasabog last Saturday, tatakbong Vice President, si President Duterte. So, parang Duterte, and then suddenly, Monday, Senator. Pero parang ang naging surprise, anticlimactic yung umaga kahapon, it was Parlade was the surprise filing for president. So parang ganon ang ending.
So magandang telenovela pa rin, magandang sitcom pa rin. Kasi the most unexpected, yun ang nangyari. And the teaser didn't really give us the correct clues, no? And well, anyway, you were saying already, no? So Sarah running for VP, Bongo running for president, Digong running for senator, and then you have this, strange situation where Bongo Marcos's party says it is adopting Sarah as their VP candidate, and until now, walang sagot si Sarah. O ang lakas because she filed with lakas, which is another thing that we need to try and digest. No, what's all this? No, what does it mean, Professor Tihanki?
Well, Pia, mukhang nagkakasala sa labat ng mga kwento nila, no? The objective of the game is actually to coordinate, no? If they want to consolidate their forces, no? But apparently, what's happening here is failure in coordination, no? Sabi nga ng iba, magtayo naman kayo ng Viber group, no? Para mag-usap-usap kayo sa mga
Or pwede ring Telegram. Mas secure ang Telegram.
Ang nangyayari dito kasi, no? Mukhang hindi na magkasundo-sundo yung mga original plans nila. The original plan, I think, was really to consolidate the forces of all administration candidates to come out with a tandem that is quite formidable. No?
Yeah.
But
Well,
apparently, in doing
the president
so,
himself. The president himself was saying that, well, he expected Sarah to run for president, and then we're presuming that what he meant was Sarah president, and then si BBM ang VP. Kaya lang, nag-hold fast si Bongbong na parang, no way, I'm running for president, di ba?
Well, actually, from the very beginning, there seems to be a division within the House of Duterte between the daughter, the favorite daughter, and the political son. No? So the father, was torn between pursuing or supporting the dreams of the daughter or the dreams of the political son. So it is a story of the personal or political becoming personal and the personal becoming political.
But we saw this, this was parang a local politics scenario, right? I mean, Davao City in microcosm. No? But then,
we usually see this in the local level. No? There have been several instances of members of the same political dynasties competing with one another. So, but this takes the cake. No? This is the first time that such national level dynastic maneuverings have been seen by the public.
Ano kayong problema nila with Bongo? Why don't Sarah and he see eye to eye? What's going on? Is this Sarah, being the rebel and challenging her father? What's going on? What do you think, Professor Atienza?
Well, of course, I think from the very beginning, of course, Sarah, it will always be the daughter, but at the same time, she also wanted to present herself as not just the daughter of the president. She always emphasizes that she's more than just the daughter of the president. And at the same time also, I don't think she's very comfortable with the politicians surrounding her father. And in a sense, there were also certain groups within the official family of the president who were not very much willing to support her as their candidate. So hati actually yung support those people who were supporting the president or who are still supporting the president, not all of them are really very supportive of having the daughter as the successor of the president in terms of the candidate for president.
Yung mga sumusuporta kay presidente, parang hindi yung duling eh. Ano yung opposite ng duling, yung napagano yung mata. Banlag, parang naging banlag kasi hindi na nila saan tayo titingin, parang gano'n. Kanino ba tayo? Parang gano'n. Okay, susunod ba tayo kay presidente o kay Sara? Tapos, there are presumptions here.
And may faction, di ba? May factions talaga siya. Malawak yung sumuporta kay President Duterte, but at the same time, iba-iba rin yung mga manok nila. And some are pro-Bongo, and some are also supporting other candidates, some are supporting Sara, and parang lagi sinasabi ni Sara, ayaw na makialam sa PDP laban. She really refuses to be a member of PDP.
Yeah, that was another big surprise. Biglang CMD. Parang, ano nangyari? Tuloy na naisip, hindi, magandang pangalan, title ng show. Ang saya-saya ng Philippine politika. Anyway, we're gonna have to take a very quick break lang. Politics as usual. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
Welcome back. This is Politics as usual. Ang saya-saya. Our guests, two political professors, Professor Ella Atienza and Professor Julio Tihanqui. We're also, the way people are talking now, and given everything that's happened the last few days, what we're presuming here is that, we had latest surveys now. We're presuming that BBM will win. We're also presuming, because after all, like we said, survey frontrunner, we're presuming Sara is a winner, a runaway winner, perhaps. But mataas pa rin si survey si Tito Sen, si Senator Tito Soto, who is Senate President. We're also presuming na Digong, Rodrigo Duterte, will win as Senator. And because, a lot of people have so many conspiracy theories that, he's going to be Senate President, and then Sara will win as VP, and BBM will win as president. And if, but then, di ba, kung mag-Senate president kay, as who was it who said, I think it was Tito Sen himself who said, if you want to be Senate president, you have to win 13 votes, no? Of the senator. So, ang daming mga presumptions dito. What do we make of this, Professor Tihanqui?
Well, of course, we have to understand that the high percentage of numbers that Bongbong Marcos got in the recent round of surveys, was a result of Mayor Sara not pursuing the presidency. So we have to understand that the vote base of both the Marcoses and the Dutertes are the same. And that when Sara Duterte initially did not participate or did not file for the presidency, then it was quite logical that her votes would go to Bongbong Marcos. So that explains the high numbers of Bongbong. And of course, as a result, no, if Marcos would run, there should be a counter move, no, by the EDSA forces, no. So that really convinced Vice President Leni Robredo to finally decide to run, no, but not because of Bongbong, but because she has become the avatar of the EDSA narrative, no. So lahat to reaction sa isa't isa, no, sa mga galaw nila, no, at parang chess yan, no, nag-abang sila kung ano mga kilos ng kalaban nila, tsaka sila gumalaw, no. Kaso lang sa sobrang dami na naglalaro, medyo nagugulo na yung laro, no, at medyo nalilito na rin ang taong bayan kung saan patungo ito.
Iisa lang ba talaga ang support base ng mga Marcos at ng mga Duterte? Because I can sense that there's a fraction, we don't know how big, no, of the Marcos base that is not for Duterte. They're solidly
of course, no?
for BBM,
of
di ba?
course. Oo, and we're seeing that right now, no, nagkakaroon na ng. So again, no, what I was saying earlier, no, it was an effort to forge what I usually call an anti-EDSA coalition, no, a coalition of all the political forces that were marginalized by the EDSA political elites, no. So, but then again, they all have their own political interests, no. They all have their political agenda, no, and it's now we're now seeing that, no. So instead of uniting, no, like for example, no, from the very start, we all know that the interests and the motivations of the daughter is different from that of the father, and there are different political forces supporting the candidacy of the daughter, no. And in fact, the daughter chose to heed the advice of the former queen, no, who is now becoming the new kingmaker, no, the one who the alliance.
Yes, we'll
and
get
that
to
explains why it's lakas CMD, di ba?
Right,
So,
of course. Yes.
So, doon medyo nasaktan din siguro yung tatay, no? Mas nakinig ka pa sa ibang tao kasi nakinig ka sa sarili mong ama. So, and that kind of hurt is now being reflected on social media among the pro-Duterte forces, no? Nagkakaroon na nga ng dalawang variants ng DDS sa social media, no? Yung DDSS at yung DDSR, no? Yung banat by versus thinking Pinoy, di ba?
Okay, we're going to get to the EDSA narrative in just a bit, but I wanted to very quickly go through this, the BBM and Digong dynamics, no? Because may sinabi President Duterte na hindi niya sinusuportahan si BBM. He would explain why eventually. But that's strange because, number one, he allowed the burial at the libingan ng mga bayani. And of course, we all know, 1993, inuwi yung labi ni former President Ferdinand Marcos. And like you were saying kanina, Professor Tianquin, I wanted to ask Professor Atienza also about this. Very important, no? That the possible BBM victory is a referendum on EDSA and a judgment on EDSA 86, no? And what's interesting here is parang, di ba sabi nila, kasalanan ng taong bayan because we have short memory. So kasalanan natin parang ganon. Pero talagang kasalanan ba talaga natin or kasalanan ng lahat ng gobyerno na naluklok matapos si Marcos? Because they were in power. Cory was president for 7 years. FDR, who was an EDSA hero, was president for 6 years and so on and so forth. Professor Atienza.
Yeah, I think when we look back and say that kasalanan ng taong bayan, kasalanan natin kasi hindi natin naprotektahan yung memories ng EDSA, it's basically the failure of a lot of forces, particularly we failed in strengthening the democratic institutions that we restored or put up with the 1987 Constitution. We failed to strengthen our political parties, and look what is happening now. Halos wala na talagang relevance yung political parties, and then of course hinayaan natin and we see of course now the political families, the political dynasties still trying to negotiate among themselves, negotiating but at the same time trying to outdo each other. Parang sino yung mas malakas, Marcoses ba, Duterte, or now nasa likod the GMA representing the Arroyos. parang in a way we failed to really put up institutions and strengthen the processes that would prevent
Okay. Well,
the return of the
But-
Marcoses. Kasi we
Yeah.
did not di ba? In other countries kasi completely talaga natanggal na yung
Yes.
or
So
naparusahan.
you're referring to this whole
Yes.
debate about political dynasties, and even if it is in the Constitution that they should be banned, that Congress, every post-Marcos Congress has failed to come up with a anti-political dynasty bill. However, if you look at each Congress, and I remember I would literally count the congressmen. Easily, 2/3 to 3/4 are members of political families. Pero, ang tanong doon kasi is, after, nung nalulok si Cory sa pagka-presidente, the Congress that came into power at the time, the 8th Congress, 1987 to 92, panay political families din, di ba? But anyway, we're gonna get you to answer that after this very short break. More from our guests when we return. This is Politics as Usual.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
We are on our final stretch. This is Politics as Usual. Professor T. Hanky, can you respond to my question a while ago?
Well, it goes to show that it's political clans and dynasties, not political parties, that's been the building block of our electoral politics, and that has always been the case, no? And that's one of the failings of the EDSA elites, no? Previous administration's failure, and it's a collective failure actually to consolidate our democratic institutions and practices, no? And then one of the biggest problem really is the continuing dominance of only a few political dynasties. And based on the study of the Ateneo School of Government, 70% of our present House of Representatives is composed of dynasties, and 80 in the local government units. And by 6 years' time, practically 90%, 80 to 90% of all elected positions are coming from the dynasty. So with this kind of a setup, it's not a surprise that the Marcoses were easily reintegrated into our political system.
So if you have these political dynasties, families that rule the roost in local politics, and well, as we all know, all politics is local anyway, and if you go local, then you look at the families, the clans, diba? And that's also one reason.
It has become a Game of Thrones of sorts.
Game of Thrones, right. Right.
Yeah, it's just the elite families negotiating among themselves. If you saw that wedding in Cavite, no, it reminds you so much of the first scene in The Godfather, in which all the families were gathered.
I think we've been watching a little bit too much TV na, no? Or Netflix. Yeah. Okay. So, and then of course that also affects the way the so-called opposition, the vaunted opposition bloc should have acted, because the question here is, did they let this golden opportunity pass them by? Because ang tagal na pinag-usapan, Lenny Ping, Manny Isko, sana magkaisa sila kasi hati na ang boto. So anong dapat mangyari dito? Professor
Ella.
Ella.
I think the golden opportunity has been lost, and that has been the trait of the progressive sectors and the opposition for the past few decades. Sila mismo rin hindi magkasundo, di ba? Maraming pagkakataon nag-unite sila, pero after that, wala nang sustainability. And then now, there were efforts to really talk, and then na-miss nila yung opportunity until November 15 na magkaroon ng further consolidation. So we now have all these number of candidates presenting themselves as opposition, pero definitely mahahati ang boto, and it will be very difficult to really try to get votes from, let's say, if ever talagang makonsolidate ang BBM and Sara tandem.
Unless, of course.
Baka kailangan pa rin nilang mismong mag-negotiate. Kaya lang mas mahirap na kung meron pang susuko o mag-withdraw. Kaya lang some of them, of course, are driven by personal ambitions too to become president.
Okay, and final word na lang. So, Professor Tihanki, and then we have to go already. Sorry, Professor Atienza, I suppose that can be your final word. Ubus na oras. Professor Tihanki.
Well, the ongoing political circus that we have witnessed, or in witnessing, goes to show how convoluted our presidential politics has become. And if we don't take seriously institutional reforms to consolidate our democracy, we will see more of the same, and this is not good for the health of our democracy.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Professors Maria Ella Atienza and Julio Tihanki. We have been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or at the family reunion or in Viber groups and risk digital warfare. But we can talk about it here at this table on this show, your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. See you back here next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. We are on our final stretch. This is Politics as Usual. Professor Tihanki, can you respond to my question a while ago?
Well, it goes to show that it's political clans and dynasties, not political parties, that's been the building block of our electoral politics, and that has always been the case, And that's one of the failings of the EDSA elites, previous administration's failure, and it's a collective failure actually to consolidate our democratic institutions and practices, And then one of the biggest problem really is the continuing dominance of only a few political dynasties. And based on the study of the Ateneo School of Government, 70% of our present House of Representatives is composed of dynasties, and 80 in the local government units. And by 6 years' time, practically 90%, 80 to 90% of all elected positions are coming from the dynasty. So with this kind of a setup, it's not a surprise that the Marcoses were easily reintegrated into our political system.
So if you have these political dynasties, families that rule the roost in local politics, and well, as we all know, all politics is local anyway, and if you go local, then you look at the families, the clans, diba? And that's also one reason.
It has become a Game of Thrones of sorts.
Oh, Game of Thrones, right. Right.
Yeah, it's just the elite families negotiating among themselves. If you saw that wedding in Cavite, it reminds you so much of the first scene in The Godfather, in which all the families were gathered.
I think we've been watching a little bit too much TV na, or Netflix. Yeah, okay. So, and then of course that also affects the way the so-called opposition, the vaunted opposition bloc should have acted, because the question here is, did they let this golden opportunity pass them by? Because ang tagal na pinag-usapan, Lenny Ping, Manny Isko, sana magkaisa sila kasi hati na ang boto. So anong dapat mangyari dito?
Professor Ella.
I think the golden opportunity has been lost, and that has been the trait of the progressive sectors and the opposition for the past few decades. Sila mismo rin hindi magkasundo, di ba? Maraming pagkakataon nag-unite sila, pero after that, wala nang sustainability. And then now, there were efforts to really talk, and then na-miss nila yung opportunity until November 15 na magkaroon ng further consolidation. So we now have all these number of candidates presenting themselves as opposition, pero definitely mahahati ang boto, and it will be very difficult to really try to get votes from, let's say, if ever talagang makonsolidate ang BBM and Sara tandem.
Unless, of
So,
course,
baka kailangan pa rin nila mismong mag-negotiate. Kaya lang mas mahirap na kung meron pang susuko o mag-withdraw. Kaya lang some of them, of course, are driven by personal ambitions too to become president.
Okay, and final word na lang. So, Professor Tihanki, and then we have to go already. Sorry, Professor Atienza, I suppose that can be your final word. Ubus na oras. Professor Tihanki.
Well, the ongoing political circus that we have witnessed, or in witnessing, goes to show how convoluted our presidential politics has become, And if we don't take seriously institutional reforms to consolidate our democracy, we will see more of the same, and this is not good for the health of our democracy.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Professors Maria Ella Atienza and Julio Tihanki. We have been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or at the family reunion or in Viber groups and risk digital warfare. But we can talk about it here at this table on this show, your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. See you back here next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.